Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before, and if you haven't, I hope you enjoy my videos and stay to watch more of them. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed, please feel free to subscribe. You will be notified when I update new content, and also helps my channel to grow. And if you have enjoyed this video at the end of the video, which I hope you stay to watch the whole thing, which would be great, put your thumbs up, and that will help my channel immensely. So I am painting a little tufted duck, and I was inspired to paint this little tufted duck because I went to visit Slimbridge way back in January. And my mission was back then to paint this year ducks and geese, and I wanted to paint 12 of them. The reason why is because for next year, in October time this year, I will be making a calendar for next year. So it will be released hopefully before Christmas, well, way before Christmas. So everybody will have a chance to get their hands on one of these great calendars. So I'm hoping I will get this done. That's my mission this year. Also, while I'm doing that, obviously I have my originals available in my website, and also I will be making prints, and they are going to be in my website too. I do make some cards out of them as well, and I sell them normally in the markets that I take part. So the mixing of the paintings that I'm using normally are Winsor Violet, Indian Yellow. So I use the Indian Yellow because it's quite light to start with, as you can see on the card that I'm showing you at the moment. The top one, it's very light, but you can make it darker by applying more of that paint, more consistency color. Then I also use the sepia, which is like a brown color. I used that one in my previous painting that I did of the mallet ducks. I also use cobalt blue. So the cobalt blue, I mainly used it for the water reflection and the beak of the duck, which you'll see that later on in the video. I used the Payne's grey and the permanent rose, the permanent sap green. So the sap green, I needed that for the tail of the tufted duck. And to darken the shadow of that area, I used the same green plus mixing it with the Payne's grey, just a little bit of it, just to darken it a little bit and add that to the shaded parts of that tail. So the same thing you can do with the Winsor Violet if you want a different mixture, which is what I am doing at the moment. I'm mixing the Winsor Violet with the Payne's grey to make this very dark consistency. It's quite beautiful, deep purple, I would say. It's almost like a blue purple. So I used that on parts of the duck's head. So I'm using the Winsor Violet and the permanent rose. And you can see the violet is slightly different color. So the mixture of colors I'm using on my palette is just a guide to show me which colors are similar to the reference photo and which ones I want to apply to the painting, which ones I want to leave out. So I'm going to play you now the video, and I'm going to be painting the tufted duck. So if you follow it through to the end, and I'll come back to you and explain some more things. So see you then. So the painting is progressing, and now I added obviously a lot of colors on the head, still more layers to apply here to make it all blend in together and make it stand out of the paper more. So to create the body here of the chest, I suppose, or the front of the duck, I'm applying the sepia brown to start with. So I played a little bit with the sepia brown, Winsor violet and Payne's grey as well, to create those shadows and the feather separations. So I wanted also to keep and save some of the lighter colours to create that wet effect of the feathers on the tufted duck. So to make also the curvature to look like the body's curved, the best way to apply it is concentrate on applying the paint on the base, which is obviously the darker bit there that's touching the water, and lift it gently, drag it up a little bit and go as far up. As you're going up, as you're dragging it up, it's getting thinner, the paint is getting thinner, so it's not so dark. Then you apply the paint also at the top, around the neck, and drag it down as well. So you can see me now applying here the Winsor violet, so I wanted to create that warmth. So also I did apply, I think, a bit of the permanent rose, so it might not be the Winsor violet, it might be the permanent rose, because I wanted to replicate the head reflection on the feathers below. And I could see that on the reference photo, that glow of pink or violet. So I have to be careful on this section here because the feathers were quite wet and I didn't want to lose that. So gradually you build up layer and after layer, and working with one section of the body and then leaving that to dry while you work on the other section of the body, if that makes any sense. And gradually it won't become muddy, so you're creating the layers nicely and it will make sense. It will just be blendable and much prettier if you do it that way. So you always should let it dry. So you can see me now that I left the body and I'm going on the back of the body to make those other feathers. So this section I actually wetted that little bit and then I applied the paint because I wanted to make it look fluffy and separated, and through the video you can see that developing and changing and getting darker and more texture on the feathers. So the color I'm using is the sepia, which is like a brown color. It's quite dark, but it's a beautiful duck. I just fell in love with it. I had to paint it. It was so pretty, and I've seen it so many times around. It's funny that because once you start painting something or you're observing birds more regularly, even if it's just watching birds in your garden, you'll start differencing them and seeing the different breeds and telling what they are, and it's a brilliant way to experience bird watching. But in my case I obviously paint them, so I learned so much by doing that, and I learned so much about the birds and I love doing it. So this painting was I looked at it, the reference photo, and I thought I've got to paint this because it just made me feel the same way I felt when I was seeing them in Slimbridge on the lakes there and on the rivers. So I thought, no, I've got to replicate that because it makes me peace and calmness, and it's so relaxing, and painting them makes me feel exactly like that. So I hope it makes you feel like that when you're watching this video and me waffling on. I hope it's not making it too difficult. So For the face I wanted to paint, I had to make that darkness of the front of the face and not lose that pink lilac color that you can see on the back of the head. Now probably, to be honest, probably they don't have that actual color on the heads. They might do, but it's the reflection of the sun or of the light that is there at the time is making that glow on those feathers, and that's the color that I could see on the reference photo. And it's brilliant because some ducks, the reflection is a slightly different color, and when you see the tufted ducks on the lakes, you think, well, they don't seem to have a purple head, it looks black. But it is if you got the light in the right way, if you know what I'm saying. So just the reflection of the light on those feathers created this beautiful, stunning color, and I couldn't resist, but I had to replicate it, and I thought that is the tufted duck I want to paint. So you must excuse how I'm talking on this video if I sound a little bit flustered, because it is 28 degrees, over 28 degrees at the moment. So I am melting as I'm talking to you. So thank you very much for watching this video and got this far. You will see at the end how my painting comes together, and I hope you stay and enjoy it. If you like to leave a comment, please do so below if you have any questions as well. And you can also join my new community, which I have set up now here in YouTube. So I hope to see you soon. And thank you very much. Bye bye.